Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Business programming series where we highlight a promising Black and minority business around the state of Connecticut and nationally. My name is Frank Dixon, the president of the Black Business Alliance. You can learn more about the Black Business Alliance at www.bbusinessalliance.org. The Black Business Alliance is a 501c6 nonprofit membership organization, statewide program with offices in New Haven, Connecticut, Stamford, Norwalk, Connecticut, and Hartford. Today's guest, we have Guilaine Menefee, Menefee Associates Consulting, promising business development firm out of Manchester, Connecticut. Ms. Menefee, welcome to today's programming series.
Thank you. Frank.
We try at the Black Business Alliance to bring on relevant businesses that are growing in our population of people and try to give our our viewers an insight into, how to get into these businesses, how these businesses can affect the long-term growth, as that plays a part of some of our vision at the Black Business Alliance, where we focus on business development, economic development, and community engagement in our Black and minority communities. Ms. Menefee, we usually start off the show by letting our guests talk a little bit about who they are, their plight in life, and any other good nuances that we need to know about before we get into your actual business.
So a little bit about me. Guilaine Menefee, originally from Massachusetts, but lived pretty much my adult life since college here in Connecticut, where I've grown fond of the state and look for opportunities to continue developing businesses and other organizations here in the state. A little bit more about me. I am been a business consultant, project manager by trade most of my career, and moved into entrepreneurship about 4 years ago, where I started my company. My goal was to pretty much bring what I've learned in the private sector to underserved, less served industries and sectors like small businesses, like entrepreneurs, like schools. Menefee Associates Consulting has two primary consulting practices, business consulting as well as educational consulting. My goal, I think, is a little bit more on the education side, believe it or not, even though most of my clientele right now is on the business consulting and development side.
Explain the education piece.
Sure. So in education, right now, as we know, a lot of, especially the public sector, we have a system that's really built towards the test. And our consultancy practice wants to be a little bit less traditional in that fashion. What I've learned in the private sector, they held me accountable for data, for numbers. And some of that rigor that the private firms kind of whip you into shape, what I was accountable for as a project and a program manager, I want to bring that to bear in the educational space. Why that hit home to me, my family, where we live, our kids actually are in a private school, in a parochial school in the next neighboring town. The town we're in is growing and developing, but we actually wanted to have our kids in a place where they could actually be pushed. And public school system is a good system, but there's things that are still left there that needs to be optimized. And I think that when you can bring to bear what I think sometimes educational systems are missing, which is making decisions more data informed, looking at ways to use data to inform them on at-risk students, looking at those kids that statistically show that when they are out of school and they don't get past a third grade literacy proficiency, those are the kids that are most likely to drop out of high school and have a faster pipeline to jail.
All right. So on the education piece, then we'll come back to the business
Sure.
development piece of Menefee Associates. So you promote this type of analysis and process improvement
Right.
to the principals, to the Board of Education, to the municipalities? How does that work?
Yeah, usually my primary stakeholders, I usually would start with the superintendents. They're the visionaries for a school district, an educational district, and then it starts with them and then stems down. So when I am talking to a superintendent, I am looking to talk to them about what type of systems that they use. How do they use their data to identify at-risk students? How do they trend chronic absenteeism, which is when you're out of school more than 10% and affects 5 to 7.5 million kids in the United States every year. So taking a data analytics approach, taking a systems approach in education, I think a lot of educational districts are starting to do it, but the rigor is not optimized and high and needs to be really implemented in a stronger practice.
See, I understand that. My background is operations, manufacturing, and every single aspect of our day is efficiency. You know, putting the product out at a high quality, on time, less cost. That's not necessarily that's a new concept and not a cultural thinking in the education.
Right.
You know, how do you get that into a culture, that this process improvement through the analytics and lean type of a culture into that particular culture? How does that work?
It's tough. I think you're hitting at what the sentiment is. And I have found in Connecticut especially, it's a little bit more conservative with some of the educational leaders here. I think that when you do, I found some success, for instance, in the town of Manchester. I worked with the superintendent for a couple of years there. I was able to help him think holistically about his educational district and leveraging compliance reports, management reports. He had a data mindset. And so I will say that it wasn't a very hard match when I met with him and talked to him about ways that we can make improvements in the Manchester School District.
Do you find it's easier when you're dealing more with your suburban towns than some of your inner city leadership, educational leadership personalities?
I think it's a hodgepodge, actually. I wouldn't typecast anyone only because I think it depends on the district. Yes, you might think that in the suburban areas or the urban areas there'd be more of a gravitation to hug, if you will, data. However, educators, when you think about what their product and services, it's education. And so they are what I would consider my ideal client from a Menefee consulting practice because, again, type of industry where they don't have business consultants and strategy and management consultants like I've was whipped into shape in financial services, which is my background. They have folks that are focused on the curriculum and ensuring that kids understand the core subjects and some of our electives. And so they don't have readily available these types of resources. So depending on who you're talking to can depend on, you know, how much you need to continue that conversation and building that trust and relationship. So the meeting of the minds can kind of come to that point of saying, you know what, I do think I need to apply the data, I need to apply systems or a lean methodology into the school system.
And that's common across all industries, right? If you get someone in place that's familiar with what you're selling, it's an easier sell.
Yeah, I agree.
And also, a lot of the districts are strained with the amount of financial resources they can put into those efficiencies.
Absolutely.
You know, they're binded. And a lot of times our inner city, which affects kids of color, they have specific dollars designed just enough for to address, you know, maybe teachers' salaries or some of the utilities, things of that nature.
But it's an awareness thing too. Lean methodology, for instance, which is one of the core competencies in our consulting practice, the goal is not to cost money. The goal is not to get rid of staff. If you're aware of how you move and groove within your organization, you can change the way that you approach many of your processes and workflows and actually save money. So one of the things that we're hoping to do with Menefee's consulting practice and specialization in education is to make these municipalities across Connecticut aware that it's a cost savings to them to apply the methodology. They will get time back. They will get money back. So the methodology goes after taking a process 10 steps and taking the 10 steps and maybe making it to 5 or 6. So it's a cost savings approach.
Right. Well, I'm definitely on board with any cost savings that can keep our great teachers in place.
Sure.
And improve the efficiency of our education of our kids or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, our first break of the series. We're going to come back. We're going to move a little bit away from Menefee Associates education process improvement side. We're going to get a little bit over into the business development side and talk a little bit more about your background education on how business development and it's going to affect the people who look like us a little bit, right?
That's right.
So we try to keep it a little real on the Black Business Line. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be back. My name is Frank Dixon, and you're watching our biweekly programming of the Black Business Alliance programming series, where we highlight Black and minority businesses around the state of Connecticut and nationally.
Hello, I'm J. Stan McCauley, and I'm exploring a run for mayor of the city of Hartford in the 2019 election. It's undeniable that Hartford has many challenges. However, I believe that our residents are our strength. The question is, do you believe, like I do, in the potential of Hartford? You see the many assets the city has, but do you wonder, as I do, why we are still struggling to move ahead? Do you wonder why the solutions being offered to us just don't seem to get the job done? Well, creating a vibrant city begins with you. We have incredible people who live in the city, who have great solutions to Hartford's biggest challenges. But you don't always have a platform to have your ideas heard, let alone given an opportunity to co-create solutions that work for you, that work for us, that work for Hartford. Hartford's journey will be bumpy, and we'll continue to face highs and lows that challenge us to work smarter and come together as a community that is willing to capitalize on the power of our collective diversity of thought. The challenges facing Hartford will require each of us to act, whether in small ways or big ones. If you're with us on this journey, give me a call at 860-944-9797 and host a listening event for me. Invite a few of your friends so we can explore the possibilities together for a better Hartford.
Welcome back to this week's business programming with the Black Business Alliance. My name is Frank Dixon, the president of the Black Business Alliance. We're a statewide nonprofit focused on business development, economic development, and community engagement. We have Guilaine Menefee, the president and founder of Menefee Associates Consulting, with us here today. And our first segment, we were talking about two of her core services at Menefee Associates, the business development side and the education process improvement side. I hope I got that right, Guilaine. Where she talked about how Menefee goes into some of the municipalities, some of the superintendents, and focus on looking at the analytics and efficiencies or inefficiencies of those school systems and try to help them out a little bit. So, Guilaine, this segment, I want to talk a little bit more about the business development side and what Menefee Associates offers businesses. I know, looking at your website and talking to you, that you guys have a 360-degree approach to business, from business, current business entrepreneurs. Talk to us about that piece and tell us a little bit about why you're qualified at Menefee to offer businesses these services?
So 360 is a holistic approach we want to take so that folks understand front office and back office to standing up a business. So a lot of our clients are new business owners who either want to put pen to paper of a business plan. They have that vision up here and here, and they want to transpose that into a business plan so that they can actually materialize and see how they're going to structure and set up shop. As well, sometimes we also have businesses that have been in business for a while and they need to revamp their operations, get a sounding board to how they're thinking and how they're looking at their business for the long term. The profound statistic that I think most people do know, but it's real, is the rate of failure for businesses out the gate. And most businesses, you have about 70 to 80% of them that'll fail in year one. And those that make it past year one, another 70 or 80% of the rest of the gang, they're going to drop off by year three.
And I'm sure it's probably even higher for business owners of color.
That's right.
Why is that? What are some of the driving factors for the failure rate of business owners from color, based on their counterparts?
Sure. I mean, I think just more obvious, but to be stated, is of course the money aspect. So one of the top 3 reasons why a business fails is access to capital and financing. However, it's a little bit more than just that, right? So we do have, unfortunately, a system, a country we live in that systemically has oppressed minorities, and they have usually the hardest time, the least of access to capital. And there's a lot of phenomenal programs that are popping up in Connecticut, current and been existing for a while as well, that are trying to help to address those gaps that are very much there in the minority community. But money is one of the crux and central factors for the reason why these types of failures happen at a higher rate there. And then, of course, with money, there's education, money comes awareness.
Right.
And when you have businesses in the Black community, many times we are plagued with the kind of anecdote where you have a Black business or minority business that you have a business owner and they're great at that trade, they're great at the thing that they do. When they transfer that over into business ownership, they're running with that product or their service. And one of the biggest pieces that most of those business owners that look and feel like them, they miss, is that back office side.
Right. And that's a good segment for me to plug the Black Business Alliance, right?
Sure.
Because, some of our core services at the BBA is about building your business education acumen, right, for the most part. Your financial,
that's right.
Your business planning, strategic planning, geographic footprint. Where are you trying to sell your services and products, and building relationships. And I say this to my guests a lot of times. I did ask you that question, why we fail a lot more than other businesses, which, of course, I know some of the answers, but I always go back to most Black people or business of color are not legacy business owners, right? We didn't grow up in business. We were educated to get a job. So, and you don't really have anyone around you for the most part that can teach you to look out for some of the challenges and pitfalls that you might not, that otherwise your counterparts can maneuver around or foresee. So, and I think that's a major part. And I always reiterate that on this show because access to capital, how it's important, because it has been systemically and structurally put in place for us not to get access to capital, even though if we had the proper credit. It's what to do with it after you get it, right?
That's right.
Because I would tell people all the time, I would rather go get a Menefee associate consultant, subject matter expert to assist me for whatever that cost is than to go out and buy a plasma TV for my office, right? Yeah. But that's the kind of rudimentary education that a lot of our businesses lack.
One example is, it hits home to me, I'm Haitian. I was born here. Parents, as I say, fresh off the boat. Haiti, at the time of Katrina, got over $1 billion of money to help bring them back, recoup.
Pledged, or did they get it?
No, they got it. There's $1 billion that got fed into the island.
Right.
However, they still have nothing to show for it. And the word that describes that description, that anecdote I just described, is sustainability. And so when you have, yes, systemic oppression, where our community has had lack of access to capital, but then when we do get it, to your point, part of what our consultancy practice wants to ingrain is about what you do with the money and how long you keep it. And so when you talk about legacy, that's part of that fiber that other cultures have had the practice and have flexed that muscle. And so I try to help business owners understand that you need to think about money from a time aspect. You need to think about money of wealth, generational wealth, and that when you are earning the money you're earning now, you actually need to think about your grandkids, not your kids, but your grandkids. And that is that sustainability piece. So our consultancy practice, when you talk about qualification, I come from a background of organizational management, project management, and having those two come into play. So thinking about the structure you set up and then the plan that you put in place. So our tagline is planning the pillars for your success, and that's exactly what we go after. Business plan is not be all end all. However, it makes you flex that muscle that holistically makes you think about, how do I put my company together? I take our businesses and entrepreneurs through 3 steps. We first attack the company, and we holistically think about how the company is positioned in the market and the industry. What problem are you solving? What's your solution? What's your value proposition? Who are your competitors? And the competitors piece is so key. It goes after strategy. It's the top reason why businesses fail.
But you know what? A lot of businesses, just like we said, the legacy piece is that's not conceptually the way we think, right?
No.
How do you tell the general contractor with 5 employees, hey, you need to tactically, strategically think about your competitors and your market, when the only thing he's thinking about is trying to get those people on the job site and how to, make ends meet? He think that's what he needs to do.
That's right. Well, because when you're the CEO or the business owner, right, you have to manage everything. The piece that will make you fail very quickly is because you don't keep your funnel going, right? So when I was talking about strategy, talking about that sustainability, all those things go together, because at the end of the day, you may win a contract or a bid right now, and you have a 6-month or a 9-month project. But have you filled that funnel? Have you looked ahead? Have you forecasted your business long enough so that after your current body of work is done, you have something right after?
Give us an example of a company you've worked with. You don't have to mention their name.
Sure.
And their reluctancy to hire you to make their business efficient. And talk about some of the measurable outcomes on the positive side that company gained from making a decision to bring you in there.
Sure. So there was a business 2 years ago that I worked with. And what I do when I first start with a company is I just talk to them, a conversation like this, so I can start kind of discerning exactly what's going on. And I have a knack, I think it's a God-given skill, to listen to people, and it gives me give me 5 or 10 minutes and I can start thinking about, okay, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? One of the first questions that I asked was, who are your top 3 clients? And it's one of the best questions I found. Usually stumps most business owners that I talk to, because most people actually can't name them. However, one of the things I did do was I took a look at her pricing model, and I asked her to give me a couple of weeks to study it a little bit more. I did get some information from her from initial conversations. I actually found her $70,000. She was a business that made about $150-ish. $70,000 is very significant to that.
Very.
Part of it was proving to her that I can look at her business and give her a different way of approaching it. And pricing is very strategic. A lot of people don't understand that it takes more than just kind of what does your neighbor price it at, understanding your value, understanding where you're located when you talk about geographic footprint. But all those other inputs, I was able to find her some additional monies that if she just changed her pricing model just a little bit, she could have made a lot more money that previous year.
And she was reluctant to bring you on because she didn't see the immediate value of spending that money to do that.
No, and she
but you probably can't get rid of her now.
Well, she had been around for 7 years, and her business was actually growing. She didn't understand. She knew that she was starting to come to a crawl, but she couldn't figure out because she still was growing a bit. But she knew that something was missing that wasn't getting her over that hump of having more explosive growth.
And to her, and just to her and her business acumen, it says, you know what, I don't know what I don't know. I need someone to come in.
That's right.
And I say that all the time. You know, our business owners tend to beat their heads up against the wall instead of going out and find someone that can come in and actually look at some of the aspects of their business they don't know. Right?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we want to come back and continue that. You're watching the Black Business Alliance Business Programming Series, and we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back for our third and final segment with Guilaine Menefee, owner and president of Menefee Associates Consulting, LLC. And welcome back to our weekly programming series. Frank Dixon, President of Black Business Alliance. If you want to know a little bit more about the Black Business Alliance and some of the things that we offer and where we're located around the state of Connecticut, please visit our website at www.bbusinessalliance.org. That's correct, right? So I'm sitting here with Guilaine Menefee, the founder and president of Menefee Associates Consulting LLC, located in Manchester, Connecticut, where they focus on education process improvement and business development of small and medium-sized businesses. Yeah. That's usually your niche market, right? That's the small and medium-sized business. Yes, right. So in our previous segments, you know, Ms. Menefee talked about some of the process improvements that she's worked with in some of our municipalities, with private business owners. One of my questions I always ask my guests is, why business development, process improvement? Not because of your education and background and careers, but why? What drives you to do that?
It drives me because I find it to be a very agnostic opportunity for all businesses, whether they are small or big, successful or just starting. Most businesses have some window, some opportunity to get better, some way that they can look from a continual improvement perspective. And that's kind of the fundamental of lean methodology, which we specialize in, and organizational management. I love working with another business owner, another entrepreneur, and helping them bring their business to life. I know what it means to be a business owner in the aspect of pouring your all, having your passion through your business, and knowing to be able to give that, to have that mindset and give that to another business owner is where my focus and my passions are.
When did you decide, what day did you wake up and said, you know what, I'm done with corporate America, I need to do my own thing? What did that look like, and walk me through that mindset?
Oh yeah, so I'll never forget that moment when I got a text message, an instant messenger internal, on their internal platform at 10 p.m. at night from my boss, who said I needed to give her something by midnight. And that was one of the most defining moments where I said, I will never let that happen again. It is something to look at a business differently when you're at the helm versus when you work for corporate America. One of the things I also saw was just that you lose a lot of yourself in corporate America. I think corporate America can make you very stiff. I'm someone, for instance, who believes in see something, say something, and sometimes I would catch myself in environments where I get a little bit of a hand slap because my intention is to have high quality work. My intention is to optimize the community and the colleagues that I work with and for. And sometimes I'd be in environments where that was not acceptable. It wasn't acceptable to challenge the norm, to
maybe you're intimidating the people you were working for.
Perhaps. Right. And I know that, hey, I'm a woman and I'm a black woman. And so sometimes you already have those unconscious bias that come with having this profile. And then on top of it, I'm in corporate America, and you know, there's the hierarchy and the politics, and like most environments, I won't say that there's not any environment that doesn't have those elements, but your identity is very much stifled. You're not really true, your authentic self, or when you're in an environment where that structure is there, that culture says that you walk and talk in a certain way.
Right. Entrepreneurship and business ownership is not for everyone.
That's right.
And even though we promoted it, the Black Business Alliance, ownership, empowering.
That's right.
You know, we focus on empowering you to be the better you, to understand how to grow your business, build that wealth, give back to your community, give back to your kids. You know, and I know it myself. I look at me to say, if I don't do this, if I don't go out and assist my community, who's going to do it? You know, I don't practice and preach, or the BBA don't practice and preach, go and look for this pseudo business entity or deity to follow, but empowering you how to be that that deity, to give back. And as a social entrepreneur, you know, I think it's always been my calling to do that. You have a lot of people who say they're consultants.
That's right.
Right? But what I come across is they really don't understand what being a consultant is. They have a lot of different services under the consultant umbrella that they might not have the expertise with. So give me a 30-second overview of someone who wants to be a consultant. You know, what are some of the core competencies they should actually possess before going into these types, whatever consulting industry they're in?
Sure. Well, usually the consultancy, you're coming from a place of expertise. So definitely being a little bit pragmatic about where you're deep, right? And where you have the breadth and the depth. So I think that's the kind of, 101 litmus test, sniff test. You got to kind of be an expert in something, but getting a little bit more complex. Methodology. As much as you might know a subject area, but understanding how to take that and process it in your mind in a very methodical way, in a systemic way. Why the consultancy is important for that is because you can then lift and shift it anywhere. I'm a project manager, I'm a business consultant by trade. Both of those come with very specific methodologies. If you want me to do an IT project, I'll talk to you about SDLC, Agile methodology. I'll talk to you about waterfall. Business consulting and business analysis, I'll talk about MISI, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive, and how you apply that to build a platform. But you need to understand not only the area of focus, but you need to understand how to objectively, as well as use the method
Right.
to take it and then process it through. Because your goal as a consultant is to help your client understand. You have to educate your client. You are an educator first as a consultant.
So you want to listen probably a little bit more than you want to be talking
That's
to
right.
the client.
That's right.
Because I've had consultants, you know, in various aspects of my career and some of my businesses. And, you know, I've been in contact with some that I've known more than about what I'm asking them about.
Sure.
And, you know, I expose that. So, but, you know, I think I see a lot of people of color in the consulting, right? Because I think 75% of Black minority businesses are consulting or services, I'm sorry.
That's right.
And it's because that we're looking at, you know, providing some sort of educational or experience type of product. Unfortunately, you know, I wish we could get more into the physical product producing, but a lot of times that takes capital or investment.
That's right.
And it gives me another opportunity to plug the Black Business Alliance, as we do offer certain programs at the Black Business Alliance for access to capital, and some of our partnerships with state and some other entities that we're involved in. So going into the end of this, we only have a couple more minutes. I give everybody a chance to plug their business one last time. You know, tell us where you're located, you know, reiterate your website, and tell us about anything else that you're a part of that someone, if they want to find out about Menefee Consultant or Guilaine Menefee, how can we do that?
Sure. Menefee Associates Consultant, 44 Purnell Place, Manchester, Connecticut. MenefeeAssociatesConsulting.com. We are a business consulting practice, educational consultant practice. We help business owners, entrepreneurs put to life their business ideas, to put pen to paper on a business plan. We use data analytics so that business owners are more informed, business owners and leaders of their organization. We take a systems approach so that people understand the workflows and the processes that their company entails. They understand not only their product and their service, their front office, but we help teach them about their back office, how to legitimize their business, how to stand it up, how to put the right things in place so that they can have a model that's sustainable, that they can not be a statistic, that they can be in business for longer than the 3 years.
Right. And your website again?
MenefeeConsulting.com.
We do want to say thank you again to Guilaine Menefee with Menefee Associates Consulting LLC in Manchester, Connecticut. Guilaine also has another interesting business that she's just started. What is that?
Your Fitness Network.
Your Fitness Network.
Yes.
So if I log into your fitness network, I can lose what, 10 to 15 pounds in a few minutes? Or?
Well, it takes a little bit more time than
More
that.
time than
but
that, okay.
It's an online fitness platform that's going to allow you to work out wherever you are, anywhere you are. Basically, you log on and you're going to have a personal trainer on the other side of that computer or mobile device that you're logged into, and they're going to work you out at that time wherever you are.
So we're going to bring Guilaine back under the umbrella of, what is it again?
Your Fitness Network.
Your Fitness Network, and we're going to talk about that, where you can actually sit in your house, drink your coffee, and work out with Miss Menefee there on one of your mobile devices. We want to say thank you again for joining us for our business programming series. If you want to be a member or a part of the Black Business Alliance and learn more about our mission and our vision, please visit our website at www.bbusinessalliance.org and join the future. My name is Frank Dixon, President of Black Business Alliance, and thank you for your viewing today.